Welcome back to Kettlebells and Cocktails. I'm your host, John, back with my bestie, Nikki. Nikki, how are you?
I'm good, even though it might not sound like it. My voice, I am good. I'm totally
Oh,
fine.
we just recorded last night, and you sound definitively worse than last night.
You know, it's funny. I've had a cold for a couple days, but I coached class tonight, and I for sure had a voice before I was yelling at people to fitness faster for 60 minutes, and now it's a little but it's fine. I feel fine.
There you go. Well, we'll have all the interesting voices on tonight because we have our favorite guest from over the pond, Scott Britton, is with us. How are you, Scott?
Good. Thank you. You know how to butter a guy up.
I, I
Oh.
I was excited to see you because since the last time I've seen you, I got my first tattoo, and I knew you'd be very excited about that.
OMG.
Starting now. It's the beginning.
It really is. That's the crazy thing. I have the guy that did it. It's a good friend of mine. I've known him for years. He's a great artist, and I've just put it off forever. And like we're halfway through it, and I'm already thinking about the next one because that's how I'm wired,
Mhm.
as you can tell by the dozen guitars behind me and the 15 CrossFit shoes, 20 yards away from me. It's like I can't do just one thing. So we'll see how it goes. I finished the shading on Sunday, so I'm gonna hit the pause button for a while. We'll see what happens after that.
Yeah, it's
So,
gonna be another big session for you on Sunday, huh? Because you sat for a while the first time.
yeah, the first time was 4.5, 5 hours,
Yeah.
give or take.
Also,
So
as you get older and the more you have tattooing, maybe people are gonna disagree with me, but I find it harder now. Like I used to be able to have really long sessions. And
right?
now I give up. Like I'm so soft. I'm like my body's like, you've had enough for your lifetime. So we're gonna punish you double for anything that you want. And to be fair, everywhere that I have left is not the nicest places.
Right.
Well, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. If you guys are listening to this on the podcast and you're not watching it or you don't follow Scott on Instagram, first of all, I highly encourage you to follow Scott on Instagram. Scott, what's your handle? Tell the people.
At Scott Brett.
Okay. Yeah, and second of all, not only for his epic content, but also for his tattoos, which are amazing and cover the majority of his body. So that's what I was gonna say was you probably the spots you have left are like the super sensitive, like bony and or thin skin spots that nobody really wants to touch. Ugh, I hate
Well,
them.
at my age, all skin is thin, but
Well, there's that.
I think I'm, surprising, I've got like that CrossFitter in me. Like he told me going in, he's like, "Hey, you might see Jesus doing this. Like it might hurt." And he got started. He's like, "All right, well, that's as bad as it's going to be." And I was totally fine. Like
Yeah.
it didn't really hurt. But I did find myself just sweating for no reason. Like all of a sudden I just started sweating. Like wasn't
Mhm.
feeling pain, but my body was reacting to it. It was
Mm.
it was a very odd experience to say
And
the
it's
least.
really individual. It's super individual to you and where it is, and also your day. It's the same as CrossFit. Like some workouts hit harder than others because maybe you've not slept as much, you've maybe not eaten as much. So tattooing is almost the same. I mean, would I prefer to do Fran and get tattooed? I don't know. Like it's a
That's a toss up right there.
Well, because I put this thing out on the outside of my arm, my plan for the games for the next 2.5 weeks is to just do curls. So my
perfect.
biceps look great and then just wear tank tops all week. It's gonna be awesome.
Perfect. This is a great plan. You should
Yeah.
actually it should be your constant plan.
It,
Curls for
it
the
pretty
girls and then tank
yeah,
tops all day.
it pretty much is.
Make biceps great again. You know,
Yeah.
so like
Yeah.
Rebrand starts today.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
Whatever it takes. I'm just trying to live up to you, Scott. Dude, I'm looking at your page and there you are right on the cover of Men's Health with the headline
No big
arms and
deal.
yeah, arms and abs. That's what it says. And you got 'em, man. You got the arms and the abs. So I'm just trying to keep up.
I did. So I had surgery a month ago. So my left is now all it's a very, very small compared to my right. It's
Yeah.
crazy how fast it goes, man. It's nuts.
What was the surgery that you did? Because you've been planning for it for a little while, right?
Yeah. So I had my front and rear labrum, part of like your
Right.
attachment and shoulder. I had my rotator cuff repaired. I had a little bit of bone taken out up there. And then I also had my ulnar nerve through my elbow, like pressure released, and then top head of my bicep reattached. So basically, really craziness of CrossFit. It's like the repetitiveness of like more high level CrossFit training. It's seeming to be like, you know how football is the ACL, like ulnar and rotator cuff is the ACL of CrossFit. So
Mm.
it's but it's really cool to come back really quick. My surgeon, he'd done Sam Briggs's shoulder and elbow. He did Emma McQuaid's shoulder. He'd done a lot of other athletes based in the UK. So he was a really cool guy because he knew the sport, and he loves CrossFit. So, in the world that I exist in of speaking to MDs, when they say that they are interested in CrossFit, it's amazing because they just get it. You don't have to kind of convince them. So
Yep.
he was good.
Yeah.
But I have a
Good.
significantly smaller left arm. So it's like,
Wah, wah. How is the healing going though? Because it's tough, man. Like physically, but
Yep.
also mentally. It's really tough to be out of your training program when you need that in your
yeah.
everyday life.
Well, also like you both know, like on a daily, weekly basis, I'm speaking to people who have finished significantly more impacted physical stuff than me. So I almost have this like weight to hold me all the time. Say like, hey, the world's not that bad. You could have had X, Y, and Z, and that's the
Mhm.
things I kind of deal with and work with on a daily basis. But I was back training within 2 days. I was on a C2. I was sled pulling. Like my rehab has been really aggressive. I should still technically be in a sling according to most surgeons. And I'm back rowing, skiing, pressing, no gymnastics, no crazy barbell. Yesterday was the first time back squatting and stuff. But again, it's given me this context that I never had, like working with people who've had significant impairment from, post-cancer treatment and surgeries. I know the basis of it and the physiology of it, but I'd never been through it. So it's a tiny, tiny bit for me to live through. So it's actually quite an interesting exercise in the world that I exist in outside of trying to be an athlete, to experience that a little bit as well.
Perspective is everything. I don't think that perspective should not minimize the difficulties that are happening in your life. Like you should make space for that for yourself because you deserve it. And no matter what it is comparatively to the rest of the world, like in your life, that's also really important for you to just,
Yep.
you know, deal with the way that you want to deal with it. But I do think that perspective helps healing, right? Because it just allows a different way of looking at the journey that you're on and maybe a new pathway to find happiness because
Do that.
there's ways to make your brain or trick your brain or fake your brain into being happy, and sometimes a little faking is all you need to actually get to the finish line. So
Do that. I do a lot of charity work, Scott, that does not limit the amount of complaining I do.
fact.
Like, not even close, so feel free, man, like, complain all you want. I mean, surgery's a big deal. I don't care why you're
Hmm.
having it, like, you know,
Yeah,
so
and
feel free.
it was a really good chance to reset. Like after Waterpalooza this year, I really wanted to just give up competitively. I'd been part of one training particular methodology that was very heavy and volume focused. So 3+ hours a day, 7-day split, crazy workouts, and very overloaded on the body. And then going to a new training methodology, which is a lot better. This was like the first step of going, okay, actually, don't give up the sport. There's a lot more you can do. And for 2 years, it turns out I've had no attachment to my left shoulder. So
Oh.
um, it's like me wanting to give up was like, oh, actually, there's a second chance here. Like, you actually could be a little bit better than you thought you could have the chance to be. So
Mhm.
I think that's a very lucky position I'm in. And just sharing going through the rehab online has been really nice. There's been so many people that have messaged saying, oh, I'm about to have surgery and seeing you can progress and asking me like, what things have I done to help accelerate the healing and reduce inflammation? And obviously being very careful because you don't want to say something and claim any kind of scientific fact behind it. And it's exactly what we do with Battle Cancer in the program. We suggest things and say like, you can try this stuff. But that again has been super interesting of the learning side. But yeah, it does suck like watching people train and not being able to do it and watching
Yeah.
competitions. And I'm like, oh, I know I could beat you if I had another arm.
Look, we're
Yeah.
we're we're doing a workout together in Madison, dude, and I don't wanna hear any bitching when I beat you. There's no excuses.
See,
None.
but I have to be the coach. So, I feel hard.
Damn it.
Wah, wah.
Yeah.
Let's like back up just 2 or 3 steps here because if you haven't heard our previous episodes with Scott, first of all, go back and listen to them because they're wonderful. But for the people who maybe are hearing from you in your wonderful accent for the first time on our show, can you explain a little bit about Battle Cancer and your position within the organization? And then I want to hear about all the epic new things that you guys are up to.
Of course. So I started Battle Cancer almost 6 years ago now. The idea was at the time I was in the police, I was a detective sergeant. I don't look like one, but I worked in kind of the different kind of policing where you didn't want to look like a policeman. But I had decided to do an event that was just focused on fitness and how we can activate fundraising and fitness together and bring people together and then do something in a crazy 6 year period, including all kinds of close downs from COVID and getting to connect with you both, and certainly also you, Nikki, helping us massively behind the scenes. We grew so that you did 100%. You
No,
did,
no.
still
I like
do.
looked at your logo one time and I was like, this
You
should be
know,
red. Like
the,
there was not.
the learnings that you gave us, we still do now, and we're still
Oh,
evolving.
good. I'm glad.
Still getting there. So, like, as a format, the idea was that we would put events on all around the world and that people would come together, they would take part in the event and they would choose a charity. And we didn't dictate that. They could choose where it went to. And they would fundraise and that the fundraising would impact their score. And we also have a brand new challenge coming next year in terms of the format, which is even more clear and even more understandable, which is great.
Love
But
it.
since it's like the first time we get it really nailed, but since we started, we've done in dollars now, like over 5.5 million. That's for 40 different cancer charities. We've had 30 plus thousand people do the events. We've held activations around the world. And then in the midst of COVID, we launched something that has been really life changing. Like the events are phenomenal, the fundraising's amazing, the partnerships, the activations, and all this crazy stuff's really cool. But the Battle Cancer program is something that we started, and I'm gonna hook John in now. I know he's a gym owner, to where we basically fund, so we completely pay for it for people to come to a mostly at CrossFit gyms. We've launched it with some other non like affiliate gyms, but if you finish your cancer treatment, you come along and you get 12 weeks of classes and it's coach led. And we've done intense research. We've got 111 different academic resources that build into why we choose those kinds of movements. And then, we've had over 600 people now from Brazil, Canada, the US, all over Europe who've been through that program that we funded. And that's been a wonderful journey to kind of both grow an event and that movement, but also directly, how do I build an army of people and locations to be super confident and welcoming to have those people? We launched a certification last year, which is really cool. So we've had, I think, about 3,500 people across Europe who now trained to be able to deliver our program. They learn what cancer does to the body. We're working with three different universities now on peer-led review papers on the impact of fitness on post-cancer treatment. We're actually going to be making it free for CrossFit affiliates for the next 6 months. So if you are a level 2, you have to be level 2, but if you're a level 2 and you are part of a CrossFit affiliate, we're going to give you the certification completely for free. You don't have to pay anything, sign up to anything, do nothing. So yeah, it's been a crazy journey from just one event where I was like, hey, let's get a lot of people together to do something, to now have events around the world that on, at average, we raise over 1 million a year, and now also have a direct two-person using fitness. And it's still a battle every day, but it's something that we're growing and having more and more people get involved, which is amazing.
I love this program. I love everything
Yep.
about it. And I also love that. Are you guys still doing where people who go through the program can then go and get their certifications, get their L1s so they can like kind of help feed the system and
Yeah,
coach the next wave of cancer survivors?
yeah, and we have multiple people that do that now, and also the empowerment of that is phenomenal, and the connectivity
Hmm.
to somebody who can understand what that person's been through. And there is other programs out there where they kind of shut people away, and they're still supporting and helping people, but it's kind of like closed studios where we really believe in having them in the middle of a gym and having people connect and do that. So yeah, we not only fund them to then have a qualification, but we give them our certification on top, which is actually accredited in Europe, the UK, working on US. So they can also go away and become their own coaches, and they can do stuff outside of it. So they can find brand new careers, which is really wonderful to kind of see people blossom. And that sounds really patronizing, but they do. They find like not only strength within themselves, but strength to help other people. So yeah, that's been a really cool side of it to continue to do that.
I think one of my favorite things about the program that you guys have developed and really the charity as a whole is that we don't really oftentimes talk about the mental impact of dealing with a severe illness like cancer. And I think, you get hopefully you get your cancer free statement or yay, you're in remission or whatever. And then, the doctors and the hospitals are just like, bye. And who knows how long you've been going through everything you've been going through physically and mentally. And I never really, until I met you, Scott, and started learning about the program, I never really thought about what it must be like for those folks to try to reintegrate into daily life where they maybe haven't had a quote unquote normal daily life for I don't even know how long. And sometimes other people don't even know how to treat them or react to them or be with them and how difficult it must be to just accept everything that they've gone through. I never really recognized the mental impact of all of that. I just thought, physically, I'm sure they've been through hell, but mentally, and we know what fitness can do for you mentally, but all the research and stuff that you guys have done to show how healing it can be both for the body and for the mind, I think is something that we should talk about more because everybody knows somebody who's been affected by one of those types of illnesses.
It's also how do you as the person who knows somebody, how do we affect you? So one of the things we've just launched here in the UK, and I'm pestering CrossFit to do something with me wider, but so
It's
we've
what
just
you're best at for what it's worth.
we're trying. But what we've just launched in London is there's a gym called Gym Box. It has 9 different locations across London. We've just launched that every single week for the next 3 months. There's a free class that you can come if you're a member of Gym Box. Like Gym Box is a big commercial gym, probably 600-700 people per location, or you can come completely for free that once a week. And it's a battle cancer class that's really cool, gets you sweating and moving. At the end of each session, we cover different topics from the coach. So you have 15 minutes where everybody sits down and we talk and we give some actual toolkit. So some of that toolkit is how do you talk to someone who's just going through like losing a loved one? How do you deal with loneliness? How do you deal with effectively, like stress and impact of your best friend who's going through a mental health crisis? Like, how can you talk to them? How do you signpost to them? So we've basically these 9 different topics that each week will be discussed in a group. And then we give them resources. So they leave with a different list of websites and interactive exercises. So it's like, okay, well, actually, not only should we focus on the people who've been through cancer, but how do your friend gets diagnosed? How do you talk to them? How do you spot signs within yourself? How do you be an effective friend who maybe, your best friend might have lost their mom or dad? Like, how do you deal with that? And nobody approaches it. So we were like, okay, cool. Like, let's get everyone sweating. Let's like make everybody kind of drop on the floor at the end of a crazy hard workout. And let's have the coach deliver some magic. And they were the first gym chain that kind of stepped up and said, like, yeah, we'll do this. So, across the whole of London, 9 different sites was really cool. And we're building that in again, free resource. Give this out that coaches will be able to deliver it across the program because it's really tricky. Like, number one thing that people say to us, don't when someone says, "Oh, I've just been diagnosed," we always say, "Oh, I'm sorry." And they're like, "Well, why are you sorry? You didn't give me cancer." So
Right.
as humans, we want to say something. So like, how else, maybe you've not heard from your friends since they were diagnosed. Like, how do you initiate that conversation? How do you offer help, but without being patronizing? And it's this kind of thing that just even as adults, nobody tells you. No one tells
No.
been through it.
Not only does nobody tell you, but nobody vocalizes this stuff or continues to bring it to the forefront of conversation. I feel like it's so funny. I was just talking to my husband about this morning. I'm gonna get a little deep with you guys for a second.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, unfortunately, we have a friend who passed away from breast cancer just a
Oh,
couple weeks ago, our age, and it's been really, really hard for us to just deal with the implications of all of it,
yeah.
like the implications of her partner who she left behind, who is a good friend of ours from a CrossFit gym, the implications of like our own lives and mortality and, our parents getting like just everything, it's been really tough. And her boyfriend consistently, like every time I open my Instagram, he's posted something about her. And I was telling Matt this morning, every time I open my Instagram, it makes me cry. But I love how incredibly vocal he's being about his girlfriend who he lost, who he is still very much in love with, who he's devastated about losing, who he whatever, because I feel like as a society, we're like, shh, don't talk about grief. Like, definitely don't put it on the internet. Like, keep your shit to yourself, keep whatever, like, oh, it's so sad this died. Like, don't talk about it. And he's like out there every day. He's like, I miss you. I love you. This made me think of you. Here's a picture of you. Here's a picture of your headstone, here's a picture of whatever, and he's just loud about it. And I love that he's doing it, even though it makes me cry. I love that he's doing it because I don't know how to talk about the fact that she's gone and it's difficult for me. And I don't know how to talk about the fact that he's going through something and I'm worried about him. And I don't know how to reach out to him, but he's kind of making a channel for it.
Yeah.
And I just don't think that we talk about that kind of stuff enough,
No,
especially as adults. Like we just don't, nobody knows how to approach one another about that kind of thing, you know?
no, especially imagine being British. We don't want to like,
You want to show
Right.
emotion about
Right.
anything, anyone.
yeah, I don't want to talk to you about anything. Like
Right.
that's like even worse. But you know that situation, it puts you in this really horrible position because you're grieving a loss yourself. You're also feeling the grief of a person that you know and what they're carrying. And so what you get strangled with is what should I do? And now there isn't a golden answer. There's not like, oh, say exactly this at this exact time and it's going to make everything better. But it's like, okay, how do I initiate conversation? How can I so one of the things we talk about is remembering special dates. So when somebody's lost somebody, you as the friend remembering that person's birthday, remembering that time that they graduated college or and speaking to the loved one about those dates. And it comes back time and time again that that's like a wonderful conversation starter. It's a chance to connect about the loss and to talk about things. It shows that person that you care and you remember. And, you know, I always remember if somebody remembers my birthday, it's like makes you feel really nice that that person remembers it. So it's just simple things that we try and instill to people to go, okay, hey, here's just a few things to try in these situations. And at least you're not going to make anything worse. Like by trying
Mhm.
these things, you might do something wonderful. They might say, hey, I'm just not ready right now, but I really appreciate it. You know, things like, what can I do for you? That's a terrifying question to someone who's just lost someone.
Right.
So
And
what
everyone instinctively is gonna be like, "Nothing, don't worry about it." And that's so not true.
Yeah, and so we had this really good example. We had a guy on the program who, really early in his 20s, he had a really advanced stage of cancer that he's led to having quite large part of his intestine removed. So he has a stoma bag, and he was diagnosed and went through that surgery in COVID. And he said everybody would just say, "Oh, hey, what can I do for you?" And he was so overwhelmed by the sheer thing of what was going through. He said there was people that used to just ring him and say, "Hey, I'm going to go get you shopping for you. I'm going to drop it outside your house." And he was like, "It was amazing." He was like, "Oh, people would say to me, do you have an appointment and you're struggling to get there? I can take you." And he would say yes, or sometimes he would say no. But instead of this kind of, what can I do for you? Well, you can't bring my person back, but you know, it's so difficult. They can't think about that. So we just want to do these really simplistic things for people to go like, at the end of a class, what can we walk away with? And also just opening up because, you know, like, I don't want to go too much on listening to my own voice, but, you know, we have an event in Dubai and the UAE is really expanding. It's really changing from some of its old, like, kind of culture. But we've had people do our events that went through diagnosis, treatment, and post treatment that never told their husbands or children. So culturally, it was not accepted to talk about serious illness. It was seen as like a dishonor within a family. And I'm not saying that's everywhere, but in certain cultures it was. And so we've had people at our events who didn't even tell their husband, didn't tell their children what they went through. And then after our event, they did because they felt they had enough confidence to do so. So the not talking thing does so much more damage than trying. It's
Mhm. Wow.
You know, the beauty of the CrossFit community has always been our joint connection through shared suffering.
yeah.
And it's the
Mhm.
suffering of a workout, right? Like it's nothing serious, but to us it's serious. Like, oh my God, friend nearly killed me. And then you bitch to your friend and they bitch too, and you build this connection.
Yeah.
But grief is no different when you really start to break it down and think, you know, if you've got this shared grief, this shared suffering, this shared brokenness, it's the talking and communing over that and both feeling the same thing that brings people together of why it's so important to be talking. And that's what's kind of brilliant about what you guys are doing, Scott, is like bringing people together, say, hey, let's discuss how you talk because they're like, I'm one of those fearless people that I like, I never worry about saying the wrong thing because I say a lot of dumb shit,
Yeah,
you
you're
know?
really good about that.
So like I don't mind. That's
Not
why I
the
love the
saying the
adapt.
dumb shit part,
Yeah.
the actually talking part.
Well,
That came out at the wrong
no, no,
time.
no, you said it at the right time. You know, so it's why I love the adaptive athletes as an example, because I know I can just ask them questions and they've heard it all, so they don't give a shit. They'll just be like, "Okay," you know? and they have real dark humor, so it's like we get each other, you know? And it's the I think it's the same way when someone has a disease like cancer, for instance, you know? I don't know if I told you this, Scott, but my dad got cancer recently,
Yeah.
and he has a very similar sense of humor to me. He had bladder cancer. So we heard a lot of dick jokes, like a
All the dick
lot,
jokes.
all the dick jokes, like, you know, but that's how, and that's how he makes people less uncomfortable about the disease and more uncomfortable about his dick, you know? It's
If
like
you
that's
had to
how it
pick
works.
one, you
Yeah,
know.
you had to pick one. Let's make you really uncomfortable, you know? But I do think it's the brilliance of getting people to talk about it that's the most important thing and what really brings people together and changes lives of those that are battling the disease because then they feel less. I think a lot of people that have the disease, I'm not speaking for them, but I know from talking to my dad, they often feel like they're a burden to some degree, like
Mhm.
they're like other people are having to make life changes because of them, even though there's nothing they could have done about it, and so it's brilliant to get people to talk about it because you can eliminate some of that stigma, you can eliminate some of the fear, scary enough as it is. So getting that fear out is amazing. And then, to your point, Nikki, allows you to, grieve together as opposed to sitting in silence and going, man, I don't know what to say, you know?
Yeah.
And we have this is the thing that I kind of continually go back to with CrossFit that I've not seen at any other sport or any other training methodology is there's this like I almost see it as like a tree, and we have all these branches that reach out across all these countries, these different kinds of people, and it's an ability to just send something through all those branches really quickly. And because there's a common language, like we know that the word Fran, if you're from Germany, Spain, Holland, Mexico, wherever, like you understand there's a feeling because you've been through it. And so what makes it really easy for someone like me, it's still quite hard in some sense, but easy in another is that there's this network where people are open to listening. They will talk. And there's a coach, there's a person that stands in the front of that class that becomes a linchpin for teaching people about health, their own health, and why should it just be the physical health? And, CrossFit's great at talking about like, you should have this kind of diet and CrossFit makes you fit for life. Well, CrossFit also has the ability to make you mentally fit for life. And it also has the ability to put people in a room who, when you need to have a bounce or you need to have some kind of support network from them, they're there. Like, how many fundraisers do you see from gyms? How many times do you see such and such roof fell down and within the next week there's like 50K from people like all around the world?
Mhm.
That's really, really cool about what's been built, and I think continues to flourish, is that there's that network and very quickly can react, which I think is really cool.
I wonder if you could get CrossFit to publish this like a toolkit. Like, you got 13,000 or whatever the number of affiliates are, and we're all independent operators. We all do our own thing. And like to my knowledge, no one at my gym currently is battling cancer. To my knowledge, is I'm sure somebody may be, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But
The
when it
thing-
happens, I want a toolkit to go to where I can say, okay, CrossFit, here it is. Let me get my coach certified and let's get the gym all in on it. Like
Yep.
just another resource for my gym. Or is that what you're approaching them with, or how are you guys approaching it?
Yeah. I'll be
I'm
bringing
sure
in
he's tried. I am sure.
about it. Like the difficulty. So we tried to go through CrossFit Health, and it was quite difficult because CrossFit like health and then the certifications that sit outside of L1, 2, 3, and 4, etc. There's a commercial element. So it's tricky for me to kind of go, well, I want to give this out for free, for example, to X amount of
Right.
people. But one of the things actually tomorrow we'll call with like the VP of partnerships for CrossFit is to talk about that. I want to
Who
have,
is that now?
so there's a guy called David and there's also another guy who I'll speak to tomorrow who was really nice. So he's called Rob.
Okay,
Robert
cool.
Britton. So he's been really open to it. And what I'm trying to pitch to them is like kind of a multi-layered thing of saying, okay, actually, can we do some more stuff where there's a really cool thing that Nike are willing to do as well, but where basically I can fund people to do free classes across the world. And so I want CrossFit to be part of that. I want it to be like, how do I, as Battle Cancer, through my other partnerships and other resources, how can I pay an affiliate to do a free class every week? How can I pay an affiliate to get their L2s to learn about this? How can I, through CrossFit, send this document and video content to be able to upskill someone, as think of it as like the fire extinguisher. I hope you never have to use it. I hope none of your members ever are affected by cancer. But if you do, is going to be there. So I'm trying my best. And it's not that they're not open to it. It's just I think there's so much change within CrossFit, particularly at the moment, that it's very hard to kind of to get anything bigger than maybe like the games agreed
Yeah.
or kind of
Yeah.
sold in at the minute. But I am really trying.
I love the idea of the certificate for coaches. I mean, like, as an owner, we're always thinking of how can we, get the coaches more certificates, more training, more education, and so having that as maybe your, a huge part of the pitch as an owner would be attractive to me. The running a class a week, I can only imagine doing that if I felt I needed it, but I would license or, get accreditation for my coaches right now if I could offer it to them, because it's one more reason to get them to stay with me,
Yeah.
you
And
know? I mean,
Yeah, it's one more selling point for your gym too. We have
yeah,
coaches licensed and accredited in X, Y, or Z, level 1, level 2, special training X, Y, or Z. Yeah.
yeah,
there was a lot of learning. I'll be really careful with what I say. When a certain kind of charity collapsed at the beginning of the year from the US, we were approached by a lot of people who used to be part of that
right,
charity. It was really shocking, to be honest, because we tried to do some stuff with them in the past, and I basically had a succession of about 8 or 9 ladies messaging me saying, "Oh, hey, we're really sorry. We used to think you were really evil." And I was like, "What?" And then
What?
yeah, stuff kinda came out apparently about that we wouldn't support X charity, even though we did. We raised $10,000 for them the month before they collapsed. But, so
Wait, like charities talking shit about other charities, like internally to be like, don't support
it was a
them.
little weird. It
Oh,
was a
it's
little weird.
weird.
But
It's
what
not
it
it's
was
not surprising that that charity ended up collapsing then if that's
but
those shady practices.
but what I actually got to see was that there was a lot of women in this community, and the way that it kind of was structured in terms of certifications was that it was a huge cost that was associated with somebody becoming this coach. And then the community that was held were very like very dependent emotionally and physically on these very small number of coaches. And as an expansion ability, it's just not scalable. Like what you need to do is, okay, I am going to take money from other giant big companies like I do, and I'm going to
Mhm.
use that to build a certification and give it for free. Because if I just take people's donations to do this and I make it very small and very intense, my reach is going to be very small and limited. And kind of hearing the stories of these ladies who were like, now where do we go? Well, actually, well, we'll provide you a certification. Just tell your L2 coach and they'll be able to do this for you in your own gym. You won't be needing to be reliant on this person or this particular element. So I think that was the other thing of I kind of learned that we need to make this free, available, accessible, and that's going to make a difference instead of very intense groups
right.
support, which is wonderful in its own thing, but like scalability of that is super limited. You know, and our certification's 13 hours. It's online. Unfortunately, you have to look at my face and listen to it a bit when we talk about some stuff, but there is other people on it. We've got a wonderful coach who was through the program post cancer, now a coach. She features in there. You know, not only is it a certification, but you get access to all our materials, all our testing materials, our medical onboarding forms. You get to ask us questions and we get our doctors to answer for you. So it's not even just like a, hey, thanks so much, like we're done. It was like, this is a longer term ability for us to impact people and help them. And my sell was, okay, if you're a CrossFit affiliate and you've got a level 2, I'm going to give it you for free. Like, let's just get people behind it.
Yeah, it's brilliant, but
Yeah,
dude,
do that.
I CrossFit has this, at least in the States, I don't know anything about Europe, which is, I know, not shocking to you, but, here in the States, they have everything broken up into regions, and so, like, we're in the Midwest, you got, Nikki's in the Northeast, you're in Northeast, right, Nikki?
Yep.
Um, and all these gyms, in theory, should be working together. Like, we have a Midwest rep. Charles is our rep, and he brings us together, video conference or, Zoom or whatever. We get together occasionally and do events. We did one recently in Columbus, and so it makes sense to me to for CrossFit to pitch these out to the affiliate reps and let them, pick gyms. Like, here in Cleveland, as an example, we have 2 dozen gyms in the city alone. Well, you don't need 2 dozen battle cancer ready gyms. You need 4 or 6 to cover the whole city. and Chagrin Falls volunteers to be one of them for
There
whatever
you
that's
go.
worth,
Perfect.
It's part of the conversation was like, I'm going to
Oh,
lock
yeah.
it out. But no, you're right. They don't. And also one of the things that I think is kind of lost through CrossFit recently, and I understand why though, is, they used to be pitching, I had a really great conversation with Eric Rosa at the first games post COVID. And he was like, I want us as CrossFit to be lobbying the government in the US. Like, I want us to be, how do we like change perception? How do we force into changing how the healthcare system works and the insurance system works? And how do we do that in underdeveloped nations where CrossFit's expanding into? So places like South America, places like Eastern Europe. And then what I kind of find is that that's just stopped at the moment. And I think that I hope it comes back, because I think there's a power that sits behind CrossFit that's even greater than, the games. It's even greater than the affiliates. I think there's an argument there, not to the Greg days of, trying to bring down Coca-Cola, but I just think that there's something that's maybe missing a little bit of, CrossFit being this shining light to everyone who doesn't know what CrossFit is, because not everybody does. And I think that's the thing I found more and more, is that people think CrossFit is this like silly methodology, what they see on somebody slagging it off with kipping pull-ups, not understanding that's a different movement. Um, they don't get it. And I think that's
Yeah.
what CrossFit could do a little bit more of. And watch me lose my boost space now, but that's my like, that's my thought on it.
Well,
No, I totally agree.
yeah, and that's fair. I think we all have to recognize CrossFit's trying to keep the lights on right now. I mean, we've got pretty wicked economy problems, and CrossFit's not immune to that by any stretch of the imagination. And clearly, we've all seen, they had layoffs. That's why we were asking, who's the new partnership person, because we had Ari
Yeah,
on
because
here
I
a
don't
few
know
weeks
who it
ago, and now
was.
she's
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
I'm not laughing about her being gone. It's just, like one week she was on our show, and the next week she wasn't with CrossFit anymore because of layoffs. Same problem everybody else is having, and
Yeah.
so it's not. I guess my point to that is that I fully agree. CrossFit should be a shining light of health to the world for what we do, not just the games. But I think right now they're trying to figure out, how do we go from where we are, which my opinion is it's been stagnant for a while, back to that growth you're mentioning, which was, in Greg's days when he was fighting Coke, we were growing at an astronomical rate. And how do we get it back to that and build the brand of the future, which is a brand of, health, not a brand of CrossFit's dangerous. So don't tell anybody
Yeah.
about your shoulder, by the way.
Right. Don't mention
Yeah,
that.
Yeah, don't
But
don't mention that.
but
I
it's
do think
really,
well,
no,
I was
sorry.
gonna say, I do think that you make an excellent point, Scott, in that there are real systems within, especially within this country, again, to John's point, not talking about the rest of the world, but for the States, like our healthcare system is so broken. I mean, talk to anyone who works in the healthcare system. They are burnt out trying to get people on the right track to their overall health, wellness, and fitness. And the system in and of itself needs to be shaken up in order to better promote a functional fitness type of a lifestyle. And I'm not saying that every single person needs to walk into a CrossFit gym, but to your point about insurance and coverage and things that people are encouraged to do and ways that doctors are reimbursed for the wrong types of medications and prescriptions, it's just the whole thing is broken. And there's no way to go in and rebuild the entire thing, but there are definitely holes that we could poke as a brand, as a methodology, as a community to help get the right things flowing. And it's never going to fix the whole thing, but it certainly is like a systemic problem that we should be working on. And whoever can figure out how to start that, call my husband, because that's all that Matt wants to do. He is so sick of trying to counsel people off of their medications with diet and lifestyle because nobody wants to fucking hear it. Like he's so burnt out on seeing these patients with like diabetes and chronic illnesses, and like all he wants to do is like teach people how to do CrossFit Health needs to hire this man, for God's sake. Please.
I mean, like it's a really interesting thing that, so we are very lucky to work with Nike and Nike, and Nike have had a really interesting. I hope none of their lawyers are listening to this, but we were part of
They
some.
don't. I guarantee you they
Yeah.
don't. Don't
So
worry.
we were part of this market research that Nike did recently, and it was really interesting. And basically, they'd come to the conclusion that And like, I played a very small part in this, that movement should be seen as medicine, and that functional fitness is built for life. So you can go into a functional fitness gym pre being born. You're this perfect example of this, Nikki. Like you were
Uh-huh.
in before he was born. And then all of a sudden, like he can go in as a toddler, and then he can go in as a teen, and then he can go in as he finishes college. And then as he gets older in his life, like CrossFit and the gyms and functional fitness is there for him, regardless of what his goal or output is or what age he's at. And so Nike kind of had this shift internally to say, like, okay, we can't necessarily get behind CrossFit LLC, but what we do want to get behind is promoting that functional fitness is for everybody. And that's given me some really wonderful opportunities, one of which I'm getting at least one half of you to be involved with.
Hopefully both. I need my schedule, but hopefully both.
But it's been really interesting that somebody so big like that, 45 billion turnover company, that they see functional fitness as a solution. They're not seeing it just as a way to sell clothing. They're seeing it as a solution to health and an introduction to all kinds of sport. Our training lends itself to every single kind of sport.
For sure.
So I think that's cool to see. And it's not just Nike. Look, so many people are in the space. Puma's in the space. Like all these different people that are big companies, not just like kind of really cool startup brands. Like there's a lot of what we can do. And I think that's encouraging, regardless of kind of the CrossFit LLC side of it.
Look, Scott, you got Nike and Make Watch Great Again. What else do you need, bro? What else do you need?
They go the world. So this is it.
Yeah, that's basically everything.
I'm here for
Everything.
this. I'm here for all of it. Are we allowed to talk about what we're planning
Please.
on?
Yeah, that
Okay.
Yeah, what are we doing?
What are we doing?
So we've got an activation inside the games, which is really cool. So we're gonna have a Battle Cancer program stand. We're not there talking about our events this year. Everything inside the games is just about our post cancer program. So we're gonna gift everybody the certification that comes to us at Cell 2. We also have this really cool game. So basically, every time you donate, you get a chance to win on our Fairground Grabber game, which is a very addictive way to try and win all kinds of things. But then outside of the games, we've taken over a gym called CrossFit Mojo, which is a beautiful gym. We have from Wednesday all the way through to Saturday. We've got everyone's drop in and class covered, so you don't need to pay anything. You come in and we've got you back. You get a lot of free product from a lot of different partners. We've got different classes. And the really fun one is that in the mornings, so Thursday, Friday, and Saturday morning, we have a workout followed by like a free breakfast. So we've got protein pancakes, fruit, oats, like juices, like all kinds of stuff completely free. So you just come in, work out with us, hang around, make yourself some pancakes there and then get to try on some Metcon 9. So we're launching Metcon 9 with Nike there at the time. It'll be the first time people get their hands on it,
Ooh.
which is nice. And then we've got all kinds of other people there. We've got High Price there. We've got my really fun one, Liquid Death, which is one of my favorite brands.
We love Liquid Death.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Love.
So we've got 900 cans of Liquid Death to gift out over the week. So
You might run out of them on day one. People love it.
like 800 of them will be coming back with me to the UK.
Perfect.
We'll have it all. But the most important one on Saturday, I've invited both you fantastic, wonderful people to come and your community. And so that people can come, we're going to have a workout. You guys they'll get a chance to work out, hopefully with both of you. And then hang around for breakfast, get a chance to meet. We're going to have loads of things that people can win and just get involved. And ideally on the Saturday, we've also invited a couple of people who used to be part of said other charity who were kind of lost after it collapsed, just to come down, meet some other people, get to connect with some others as well. So, and we're going to end that session each morning with one of those inputs. So like I was mentioning earlier, one of these toolkit session inputs. So yeah, I'm very cool. And I've got some funky graphics to send over to you about kettlebells and cocktails and Make What's Great Again being with us. But yeah, so Saturday morning of the games, we'll hopefully have a really cool workout and breakfast.
See,
Nice.
that's perfect because we were told last night we got invited to the Masters after party on Thursday night, and so it's going to give us time to
Cover.
recover and get our shit together between that and doing your workout because your workout will probably be pretty tough. Well,
It
what is
might
do you
not
know?
be enough time for me. I have
Yeah,
like
maybe
I'm
not.
queen of the 3-day hangover these days because I'm old. Like I will become a master's athlete, Scott, like
Okay.
the day before I leave for games, basically.
And so will you though be officially back on camera, back doing everything, or how's that?
Yeah, yeah, I'll be sidelined this year, and which is why I don't know my schedule yet and cannot formally commit, but my heart is committed to being at this event. It just depends on what the events look like and the schedule for the entire weekend. But yeah, I'll be sideline covering the individual women and hopefully just bringing epic stories to the broadcast all
Yeah.
weekend long.
And so I know you're an Innovate guy though, John. So I
No, no,
appreciate.
no, no, no,
John has
I'm rad,
no
Oh, you're
yeah.
rad
Oh,
man.
you're rad now?
rad
I was
now.
gonna say you have
Okay.
no,
All
real
right. I'm gonna say I'm rad because I want Ben to keep sending me free shoes.
well, there you go.
Benji's a great guy, so I'm sure he'll keep looking after you.
He's great, and we just took some professional photos for the gym, and I wore his orange, rad ones in those photos and tagged him just to give him some free
So, I mean,
love.
can I show you one of the Metcon 9?
Can I
Of
see? Oh
course,
my god, I'm
yes,
so
I will
excited.
I will be 2 seconds.
yes,
Can I give you a shoe story real quick while he's getting
yeah,
those?
yeah,
So I
yeah.
just got those strike movement shoes for Matt.
Okay.
And I got them for Father's Day, and he loves
Oh,
them,
good.
loves. And if anyone's listening, order half a size bigger than you think you need.
Okay,
And then I went to exchange because I got him the wrong size. I got him his everyday
right.
size, but he needed half a size bigger, and I went to exchange them. Can I tell you this process? I think I might have already texted you about this,
Yeah,
where
yeah, I
they were
think you
like, "Okay, we don't have an exchange program, so you could just buy a new pair of shoes and then return the other ones, and we'll like reimburse you eventually." And I was like, "Okay." And then they were like, "Could you take some photos of the shoes for us, like the sides and the bottoms and the box to make sure that
right.
you like legit didn't wear them?" And I was like, "Yeah, he like legit didn't wear them. They don't fit." But sure. And then they were like, "All right, cool. Could you just ship them back to us now and pay for the shipping? And you can't use the box. You have to like put the box in a box." And then I said to them, and then can you send us a tracking number? And I was like, Ye yeah, sure. So I had to ship back I've already bought 2 pairs of shoes now, it's been like a month, and I had to ship back these shoes, and I sent them an email, and I wasn't a bitch, but I was like, "Listen, just as, like, a little bit of customer feedback, like, this return process was clunky. Also, it cost me $40 to return these shoes to you because I had to buy the box and I had to ship the box. And by the way, here's the tracking number." I thought maybe they were gonna be cool. I was like, "Listen, I wanna get my husband another pair of these because he loves them so much, but, like, this process is a little funky, and it's kinda making me not wanna, like, buy a different style because I don't know how they're gonna fit, and it's gonna cost me all this money to ship them back. But here's a tracking number." And I kinda thought they'd be like, "Oh, here's a $40 credit or something for your next pair if you really," because I really am going to buy more of
Right.
these for him. But then they were just like, "Thanks for the tracking number. Please allow 3 weeks for reimbursement to hit your
Nice.
credit card." And I was like, "Okay."
You didn't tell him what a big deal you are? That's what you should have done.
Oh, oh my god. First of all, they'd be like, "Don't fucking care." Second of all, just ship the shoes back or we're gonna charge.
You'd be surprised how much people care in this tiny little community, Nikki.
No,
You'd
I
be
just thought it was
surprised.
weird. I just thought, like, listen, I work in D2C. Like, I work in marketing, and I deal with a lot of customer service type things. And I just thought it was weird. Like,
It
what
is weird.
commercial shoe brand would you not expect to be like, "Hey, I'm sorry I bought the wrong size. I literally already purchased and I'm not trying to get anything for free. I'm just trying to send you these back. They don't fit."
Mm.
Like,
Well,
it's so strange to me.
Nike would take them. Let's see these Nike
Nike would
Mech
let's see them.
yeah.
Let's show them. Show them. Show
Let's
them.
see these
So
Metcons.
you got a white version?
Mhm.
Oh, oh, I like
You know,
white.
I love a white sneaker.
I think
OMG.
it's basically gonna be like the cheat code of rope climbs as well
I
with
was
it.
gonna say, look
Yeah.
how cool.
And then we have an orange version.
Oh, orange. I
Ooh.
like
You
orange.
hit orange, you hit John right in the feels right there.
Yeah,
Those are
yeah, yeah.
tight, Scott. They look awesome. These are the ones that are gonna be at games.
Correct.
If you come to a battle cancer workout, you
You
get to
get
try
to
them on.
try them on for free, and then on the Sunday, we have bit of a scavenger hunt where you may be able to get your hands on some for free. So
Oh,
we
Nice.
have
okay.
like basically you just have to find one of the Battle Cancer team, and we've got some really wonderful people coming over. We've got coaches who've done the program. Rob, who's been the head of our like Are You One of Us campaign, who's a teenager who like was one of the fittest teens in the UK, had a brain tumor. His recovery after has been amazing. So he's going to be on our stand all weekend. So basically, if you come and find us, make a very small donation, you get a chance to maybe win some on the Sunday. So there's a cool like little activation we're going to be posting around to try and get people in them as well. Uh, but
Ooh.
it's really like Nike are just wonderful. They were like, look, get people a chance to get like foot in shoe, do a workout. We don't need to have all this tagged stuff. We don't need to have loads of swoosh everywhere. We don't need to have that. Like, we just really want to activate and get people moving and kind of
Wow.
do that. So as a partnership, that it's unreal to see where they're going. So yeah, I'm very excited. And also it's like a little bit of a flex to get them early and try them on it.
Mhm, mhm. Hell yeah. Also, Scott, is a real testament to the work that you're doing. Like, it's great to be sitting on this side of things saying like, "Oh, thank God Nike found us, and that's great, and they're being so wonderful," but it's really a testament to, like, they're recognizing the work that you are doing, and you should feel very proud of
Oh,
everything you've been able to pull together, especially over the course of the last couple years where the entire world has been wacky, so wacky.
I also think it did, and I know what you're going to say to this, but it did used to be me. And now I'd say certainly in the past 2 years, we have a team of almost 8 people now full time. We have 25 coaches that do the program. We have people who are basically full time with us in Spain and in France and all these other people now. And I think it's getting like less and less me and more the rest get to be seen of the people like volunteers and events. And so that's something that's really cool because it would be quite nice for me to not have to keep being the one and seeing my face. So it's really good that that's kind of happening and where we kind of go in the future. We're launching an app and in app we have like movement availability. So it assesses you. So if you've had, surgery from a single or double mastectomy, the app will give you stretches and workouts to be able to do because you've had it and you track your movement over the period of time. Again, we're going to be gifting that out free. We've got fundraising challenges built into an app as well that we're launching. So there's just more and more ways that like I can be a little bit more behind the scenes and hopefully make a bigger impact and let the really wonderful people that believe in us take even more of I think a step forward.
Well, I have a million marketing questions now that I will ask you offline because I want to help. I want to help as you guys continue to spread the gospel of everything that you're doing, and it's great. You're consistently thinking of new ways to get in front of people that are like current and impactful. Like they legit matter. Like everyone wants an app for everything. That's epic, and you're just like really removing all the friction to make this as accessible as possible. Is so important.
And to try and walk that fine line of I think, when you see it on particularly your post, John, like I've learned over the past 3, 4 years, I'm not going to win everybody, and I think that's something that I was very naive when I began into the world of this was I want to win everyone over. I want to get everybody involved. I want to do everything. And I've learned that well, you can't, like, that's just not possible. Some people you could say, one thing and they're going to say the opposite regardless.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Particularly in the CrossFit community, sometimes that kind of happens. So
Which
I
is
think
insane. We have the world's most wonderful supportive community until people turn their computers and phones on. It doesn't make any sense. But continue.
we have white guys,
Triggered.
John. So I kind of see it as like, if we didn't have you, could you imagine how pent up so many people might be? So you're
They
basically,
couldn't release all their fury on John. He's
Maybe,
taking it for the team.
maybe. I don't know about that. I don't think you need everyone. I think you need your people. The longer I've done this, the more I've started to realize that you just need your people. And there's no guessing how many people that are your people, if you understand what I'm saying. Like, there are some people that, you look at these mega stars, like The Rock's a good example. The guy's got like what, 300 million followers on Instagram. And,
Everyone is
like,
his people.
yeah, every time he steps in a room, like everyone just swoons over the guy. But there are plenty of people like that that just have like kind of this cult of personality and people love them. But then you have people like Nikki and I instantly knew we were each other's people. The
100%.
the the moment we met. And I think everyone's had that experience at some point in their life. And you're one of our people, Scott. Like the second we met, you
Mhm.
were like, we love this guy. Like he's great,
Yep.
And I think everybody has that, to some degree. And then there's always that one guy you meet and go, yep, dickhead, don't like him,
Yeah.
you know?
Fuck that guy.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's okay because you know what? He has his people too. And
yeah.
that's cool. So you don't need him. He has his own people. Let him go
Oh
have
my
his
God. I'm
people.
such a bitch. In my head, I'm like, well, he shouldn't have people.
Well, everybody should
This
have their
is how you
people.
know that this is my people because I'm
Oh,
a
look,
spiteful bitch against the other people.
the beautiful part of life is that we all don't agree. We don't need to live in
Yeah.
echo chambers and agree with each other. And like when we really
Yeah.
get down to it, we probably all have far different viewpoints on life and how things are done, but we can still be each other's people,
Yeah.
like
And that's something I've learned, and I'll try and not be the foreign guy in the US, but something I've learned over here is, particularly in the past 2 years, you have to kind of be careful with what you say about certain opinions because you're not necessarily
Yeah.
sure where somebody goes. But being careful about what you say about an opinion isn't a bad thing. So you can still connect with somebody and you can still have a shared experience with them. Like I'm just not a particularly religious person, but I have some of the most wonderful friendships with people here who are incredibly religious. And there's people who will be to the left and people to be to the right. But if as long as you're respectful of what the difference is, it doesn't mean that you can't connect and it doesn't mean that you can't
Totally.
work together. And I know that sounds really hippie-ish, but I've really learned it coming from the UK to over here to go like, just because somebody wears a cowboy hat doesn't mean they believe in X. And just because someone lives in Florida doesn't really believe in Y. And I think like that's something that cancer and CrossFit has kind of brought people together. There's a connection to that. And ultimately, even if someone believes like a hillier guy who says, oh, that's not a rep, and someone says it is, they still can connect. You still can have these things that you agree on, whether it's loss, whether it's pain, whether it's, like how it feels to be struggling within your own self for a day. And I think that's the connectivity that we just have to keep working on. But I think it's something I've learned a lot in the past couple of years.
I can't tell
Yeah.
you how many messages I've gotten from people blowing me up over something, and by the time we're done, we're friends.
Totally.
You know?
Totally. You're
And and
really
by
good
the
at that.
and by the way, they still think I'm an asshole over whatever they blew me up over, but we found common ground somewhere and said, "Alright, you're not a bad guy, I'm not a bad guy, like, we just disagree." And that's okay.
Yeah. I think it really all just boils down to don't be a dick. Like you can when you say like you have to watch what you say or you need to bring things up in a very specific way around people, like I still think we should bring things up. I still think you should challenge opinions. I
Sure.
still think you should
Yeah, of
say
course.
like, okay, so you believe that. Can you tell me why? And not like, oh fucking tell me why. Like
Yeah.
it's like just don't be an asshole about it. And we all have the right to believe in the things that we want to believe in. And we all have the right to disagree with each other respectfully.
But that's the thing, like,
100%. I'm never, like, mad if you're like, "That's not right." I'm like, okay, that's fine."
Yeah.
Just don't be like, "You're a dumb idiot because you didn't think what I thought." Like, that's where people get so hung up.
and we can still jump on a C2 bike and share a workout. You can
Yeah,
do 40 cals and I'll do 40 cals just because we slightly see something a bit differently. I think that's
Yeah.
again that kind of links back in. And I know I always say this to you two, but you've created something where what's really cool now is the more people I see on your show, the more I know them. So like Aaliyah the other week that you had on, I was like, met her at CrossFit Games. She was in the army, like did this thing, da 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 da. And then there's so many people that I've seen connect with you and do stuff because you put yourselves out there and you've challenged. Not everyone who comes on your show necessarily agrees with everything that you say or what you believe, but I think that's what's been really wonderful about creating what you've created and keeping it going. Where there's some that I find this show is just about argument or the show is just about basically moaning, where you guys are like, no, let's talk. Like, let's just sit and have a chat. And that's why it's really relaxing for the person on this side to be able to do it.
People would be shocked at how often Nikki and I fight.
yeah. No, we don't fight, just disagree, just
Argue.
disagree.
Yeah,
We don't
like,
fight. Yeah.
yeah, we don't we s I think people often think that we are both this, like, kinda crazy they call us woke, like, to the left, and we agree on everything, and we really don't, like, not even close. We were raised in
Mm-mm.
wildly different households, wildly like, I was raised in the Bible Belt in the Deep South, like, that was what I was in. Nikki's a Russian Jew, like,
Mhm.
you could not be farther apart in
Facts.
how we were raised, and so we have a lot of different viewpoints on life. And it's created a lot of really interesting discussions for us
Mm.
over the couple of years, off air and on air,
Yeah.
and I think we like that. Like that's the kind of the best part of it is I come to understand, that she doesn't understand how to curse properly
I don't.
and
And
yeah,
I've
she
it's
doesn't.
still not learned.
You two would be best friends in that regard, probably.
I
And
do mind my usual language when I'm on here.
I don't know why you do. Also, did you know that goddamn is a curse word?
Hmm.
Yeah, his
So I mean,
face. See, it's
yeah, see,
not. It's
it
totally
is. I'm
not.
telling you, in the deep South, not only is it a curse word, it's the worst curse word.
We were
You
on a
can't.
show, Scott, this
I
was
could
like
think of
a
something
while
worse.
ago. It was a long time ago, and John was like, "Try not to curse," because this is like I don't even remember why. It was like a someone who didn't like cursing on the show, and I
No,
was
my
like, "Got
mom
it,
was gonna
no
I knew
problem."
my mom was gonna
Oh,
watch. She
that
was
was
very
great.
religious.
And I was like, "Don't say fuck, don't say shit, don't say tits, like don't do it." In my head, and something came up, and I was like, "God damn it!" And John was like, "Don't curse," and I was like, legit
Yeah, she had no
confused.
clue.
What?
Should no clue.
I mean, if I can leave even one last thing that's nothing to do with CrossFit,
Yeah.
do you know where the word fuck comes from?
No. Oh my god, I'm so ready for this.
So,
I think I do, but I'm gonna let you tell the story. Go ahead.
okay, thank you for not stealing the mini thunder
Yeah.
that especially in Miami, there's a lot of thunder. So fuck is to fornicate under command of the king. So basically in like medieval times in UK, like very, very back, once you were married, you had an order that you had to go and procreate and reproduce. And it was to fornicate under command of the king. So you had to go and fuck. So ever
Oh
since
shit.
where the word came from. So I was like, it's not that bad, really. There's worse words. The thing that it means, there's a lot worse things, but I understand. We don't want to necessarily,
Wait,
upset.
no,
I really want to upset your mum, Johns.
No, she's fine. She'll be
I
fine.
won't say the worst word, but hilarious story where a couple weeks ago I said the C word on the show on purpose,
Oh,
like as an example. And John went to go cut it out of the show or something, so we didn't wanna be, like, massively offensive, but in error, accidentally left it in and cut out a whole bunch of other stuff, so it just went, like,
so bad.
straight to the C word, and I was like, "I cursed the show. It's my fault."
That's great.
100%.
I I told Nikki I had a bunch of Australians message me going, "Thank you for that. That was so nice. We felt so at home." I'm
You
like, "Are you
spoke to
kidding me?"
me. They were your
Oh,
people that day.
Oh, I swear to God,
oh,
that was my biggest eye opener of, having an international audience was making friends with Australians, and they would use that word just, like, in casual conversation. The first time it happened, I'm like, "Bro, like, did I piss you off? Like, what happened?" He's like,
no, I
"No, no,
love
no."
it. Those are my people.
Yeah, he's like, "No," he's like, "That's like friend to us. Like, that means we love you." I'm like, "Oh, okay, if you say so, because over here, that's not what it means. Like, not even close."
Yeah, I don't go. I'm very selective. In the UK, certainly in Manchester, if you said, "Oh, you're a knobhead," that was just like you're my friend. It just means you've been a bit silly. It's like it's a term of endearment. But yeah, I don't go saying that in Publix. So it's
Right.
like I know my audience where I'm going to say that. I'm
Oh,
not.
yeah, you're fine
That's
here.
right.
Yeah.
Hey,
I didn't know
so
that. That's a good story, though.
let's tell everybody where we're gonna be. So we're doing our workout Saturday morning. Where is it gonna be in Madison
So it's
at the games?
CrossFit Mojo, which I would need to 100% find the address. But Josh, the owner there, has been absolutely amazing. But I'm going to send you a graphic that has the address. The workout is at 7:30 on the Saturday morning. We also have them on Thursday and Friday, but then the special is Saturday. And then the breakfast is straight afterwards. You're going to head outside. You've got this beautiful area outside where you're going to be able to make your own pancakes, have all kinds of different stuff. And then if you want to come and take part throughout the week, we've got your drop-in covered. We've got your classes covered. We're going to have a battle cancer class each day. We've got our Metcon mashup class as well. We're hopefully going to run some classes in the games, just waiting to hear back from the crew about doing some stuff inside the games. And we have our booth. So I am going to be as annoying as I've been for the past 6 years in a very concentrated area of Madison. So there's plenty of way to get interacting with other people than me as well. Trust me, there's lots of lovely people.
So fun. When are you heading that way? Because you're in Miami now.
Yeah, next Sunday. So I've got kind of this week, next week, and then flying out. So it's been nice to get to train with Noah and see like kind of his last little couple of weeks of run up to the game and everybody kind of in Miami rehabbing some sun, which has been really
Hey,
nice to do.
if somebody wanted to make a donation to battle cancer, do you have like a QR code?
So you can donate through the Battle Cancer Program website. This is the biggest thing. Like we will on the weekend and we will on the day of all the sessions, but I can send you a link through where people can. So far we've helped 600 people with basically 60K. So, compared to some others that fundraise 2 million, we're nowhere near because our main goal usually is to do events to fundraise for others. But yeah, you can support us directly, and I can send you that as well.
Okay. Well, I'm doing a thing. I was sitting there making a list of all the things I got to do when I'm at the games. And Friday, I'm doing an activation at a salt bike, and I don't know what I'm doing yet. Like I have no idea. They're just like, "Hey, do you want an hour?" And I'm like, "Sure, why not? I hate
That
assault.
is
I might as well."
so ominous.
Yeah. And so now I'm thinking like maybe I get people, donate at least $1 to battle cancer, and then if you can potentially win some of my merch, and they have to go against me on the bike or something. Like I'll
Ooh.
figure that
For
out. But
every dollar they donate, you'll do that many calories on the bike.
no, absolutely not, because some group
Yeah,
like, inevitably, as much as I love your charity, somebody will get together and pull $1,000, then I'm screwed. I'm on that bike all afternoon. No,
well,
thank you.
so we can extend. So every time you donate to us at the games, you're gonna get a little silver coin, and that silver coin you get to have a chance to win some prizes in our playground grabber game. So maybe every time they donate to take you one, they also win a silver coin. But
Ooh.
we're gonna have big stands. We've got loads of things where people can learn about it as well and like donate. So we've got plenty of stuff we could wheel over to the assault guys if they'll have us kind of join.
I I
All right.
still like my idea.
Well, you and I will talk, Scott. You and I will talk, and we'll figure something out, a way to raise some money for you while I'm at the assault booth. We'll figure
That'd
it
be
out.
awesome.
And
That'd be
there's
awesome.
another reason I'm in Miami, which is there's a certain event in Miami that's very big that we may be doing some really cool stuff with. So that's another reason
Yay!
why I'm in Miami at the moment. So
Yay! And maybe also some on the West Coast.
that would be the plan. That would be really
Mm.
Love it.
again, I'm just always being the annoying British dude trying to get other people to do some stuff for me. So
It's my favorite thing about
yeah,
you, Scott. I truly it's like really like from the moment that we met in Norway, you being like,
random.
"Can I tell you about everything that I'm doing right now?" And I was like, "Fuck yeah, go for it.
Yeah,
You're
why not?
awesome." It's like truly the best. And this is what you were put on this earth to do. This organization would never have flourished had you not been pushing your way through at the front end of it. So
Love it.
Thank you.
All right. Well, Scott, thanks for joining. We're super excited to see you just in just a couple of weeks. I know we're going to talk between now and then, but for the show, I'm going to say we'll see you in a couple of weeks, and it'll be super fun. And I'm really excited to get to do your workout and see some people there. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Nikki, bring your A game because we're working
I'm
out together
coming.
finally.
I'm finally. Oh my God.
Been a long time. We haven't worked
No,
out
I know.
together since, I
Ever,
swear to
ever.
God, no, we did at UA in
Oh my
Baltimore.
God, that's right.
Yep,
That was a long time
it's
ago.
been pre-COVID. That's how long
Wow.
it's
Mhm,
been.
Wow. I
mhm.
wonder if ESPN could be interested. We could stream it.
Ooh, ooh, I might know them.
The
Make
connection, the first session of Nikki and John working out together. I mean, I'd pay subscription for that. I think.
make it
My
happen.
God, watch these two mediocre friends sweat together and do nothing particularly athletic. I'm
Well,
here for it.
have you seen
Love it.
OnlyFans, Nikki? There's people who sign up to all kinds of things.
No shit. That's why I keep telling Matt to start one. Make us some goddamn money.
I
People will
know.
pay for redheads, you
They
guys.
will. They absolutely will. All right, guys. Well, we will see you both in Madison. For everyone listening, we appreciate you guys joining, and we will chat with you guys soon.